there's a wide array of activities that have been undertaken by the American Jewish community and by many non-Jews who have joined us in the effort to try and make Israel's case. Of course, the government of Israel has the primary responsibility and I think has improved the nature of the spokesman for the state and the understanding of the need to address the media, though sometimes not as fully as they should. But the responsibility is not just Israel's, it's all of our responsibilities to reach out to the media in our own countries and to reach out to different constituencies. And it means that we have to have a smorgasbord approach. We need to have all kinds of different means. One of the major things that we have to do is to reach out to the new media, the bloggers, the internet, all of the new sites that have been created, and also to be able to have the capacity to build and to our own responses and to get them out. We are just building now the first internet production studio in New York under Jewish auspices, and came at the advice of many of the leading PR, advertising, and other people that we've convened to try and advise us on how we get out the message. But we'll never match the Saudis alone, let alone the others, who spent tens of billions of dollars on trying to get their message out over the last decades. But they don't succeed because the American people don't relate to their message. They identify with Israel. 70% support Israel because Israel and the United States have common goals, common aspirations, common values. That's not something you can manufacture. And ultimately, the truth gets out. But it's also helpful when the leaders are supportive of Israel, when they set the tone, whether it's at the national level, even at a local level, religious leaders, academic leaders, and others, also influence public opinion. So we have to be much more clever, much more effective, and also more advanced in our approach to Hasbara to understand it. There is now polling being done to try and understand what is it that the American people don't get, where are the problems. We know after 9/11, many of them understood for the first time what the war on terrorism was really about, that Israel for 50 years alone had been on the forefront of this battle, really on behalf of the entire West. Now everybody was in it. But on the other hand, there was a significant part of American people who believed that Jews got out of the World Trade Center and that in fact, the reaction was somewhat negative. I think over time, people have really come to appreciate it, and we see that in the responses on polls and other things where today the American people by 5-1 support Israel over the Palestinians and have a much better understanding of a lot of the causes, including the dangers posed by Iran. So one is that we have to understand the target. It means also looking at things long term, not just an immediate response to a particular crisis, but Israel's image in the long term. And our focus groups have shown that there is really a distorted view of Israel being under siege and being dark and not understanding what an incredible place this is, the high tech, the incredible medical inventions, the wonderful life of the people, the variety of people who live here, and to see the integration of populations from 80 countries coming together. The exciting part of Israel also has to be told. Also the ability to anticipate and not just to be responsive to some of the dangers and issues that confront us. So we have undertaken programs like America's Voices in Israel, which brings over the leading talk show hosts. We let them go anywhere, see anything. There's no restrictions placed on them. Because, again, we believe that Israel, with all its flaws, should be seen, should be exposed, and the story, in the end, will be a good one. And not one of them has not remained a friend ever since their visit. Many of them come back many times and were shocked by what they found in Israel. The geography shocks them. You know, they look at Israel and they can't believe how small it is and how narrow. When they see the realities that you walk on the streets, you don't see guys with guns and everybody shooting at each other or anything of that kind. And even during the war in Lebanon, if you were in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, you hardly felt it. Of course, we were concerned and you saw people, but you didn't really feel the impact of the conflict. There were other initiatives that we have undertaken to try and get the message out and to get people to examine it. The truth is that many Americans and Europeans and others look at Israel and the Palestinians like they did at Northern Ireland. They said, just get it over with. They didn't understand the sides. They don't know who's right and wrong, but they're just tired of this long-running conflict. People have no patience anymore. They want everything over in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, at most a mini-series. They don't have time for anything more than that. And that's not the way the world works. And this lack of patience is something that the terrorists and others count on. The second thing is will. General Giordano said that wars in the 21st century will be determined not by number of enemies killed or territory captured, but by will and determination. The will, in many places, has been sapped. The war in Iraq, other reasons, and this lack of determination, which our enemy has. And part of that has to do with how the media presents stories, how you inform people. If people understand what's at stake, then you will see that it will be relevant. And the decisions now are not decisions for an immediate time. We're talking about security of generations to come. The war on terror is going to define the 21st century. Victory in that war is sometimes hard to define, but failure, I assure you, will be very obvious. And we have to take every step necessary now to make sure that we prepare for the security of future generations, because they will hold us to account. They are going to ask us, what did you do? We can't claim we didn't know. We know everything. Everything's available to us, all the information. 70 years ago, people said they didn't know what was happening. It was a lie. They didn't want to know. We know from the archives that are being opened up now how they had broken the Nazi codes early on, and they knew every day how many Jews were being killed, even before Operation Reinhard, when more than 2,200,000 Jews were killed in a 30-day period. They knew. The West knew. The United States, England, France, all of them knew. But they didn't want to know. Today we know everything. And the question is, how do we respond? We have many friends from every community, every walk of life. We have to build coalitions with them. We have to reach out to them, Hispanics, Chinese, blacks, everyone. In the United States, in Europe, we have to do much more in South America. We have to reach out to the African countries that are just waiting to hear. Also, we can't look at the Muslim world as a monolith. There are many friends in the Muslim world. You take the countries of Central Asia, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. You can walk in those cities and their capitals with a yarmulke on your head. You can't do it in Paris and London and other places as freely. Morocco, other countries that are reaching out towards Israel. The foreign minister met with the foreign minister of Israel. We know of others, and we are visited all the time by leaders of Arab countries and Muslim countries who want to have more ties. Sometimes they're afraid about doing it too openly, but they're quietly building the channels. So we have to become more sophisticated in the way we approach these issues, doing more outreach, reaching out to communities that sometimes we are concerned about or fear, but we would find many friends there.